IVF was first really talked about by the church in 1987 in a document called Donum Vitae, which is the gift of life, and it was issued by the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. So they issued this document, and it was kind of a wide-reaching document on the issues of life. So in vitro fertilization had really just started being a thing, and so the church responded to that. And so this is where it's talked about. The first Catholic response is that human beings are created in the image of God. We see that in the very first chapter of Genesis. Human beings have innate dignity and an innate worth, and that can't be superseded. That has to be maintained. And as we've talked about, this not only the separation of the creation of life from marriage, but we're choosing the gender of the child. We're choosing genetic abnormalities. We are creating human beings in a petri dish and glass. Is that really upholding the dignity that we have been given by God? And the church says, no, it's not. And that's important. We need to maintain that. So that would be the first thing. The second, which is what you've talked about, which is really, really important, is that IVF separates, the church says, the procreation from the unitive aspect of the conjugal act or the sexual act of marriage. So in the sexual act, the conjugal act, there are two ends, the unitive and the procreative. The unitive, like you said, is that act of love between the couple, and that is always present in that act. But also in that act is the possibility of procreation, and you cannot separate those two. And IVF naturally separates those two because conception occurs outside of that act. It doesn't even involve that act at all, actually. The husband and wife simply become basically donors of the genetic material. And again, if we are created in the image of God with dignity, is that how God intended human life to be created? No, he didn't. It was supposed to be created in that act of love between husband and wife, and IVF does violate that. So the church has said from that 1987 document onward that IVF is immoral because of those reasons. Again, not that there's no assistance for people that are struggling with infertility, but this particular procedure is not moral and should not be used by anybody, but by Catholics particularly. And again, I would say another big one is, you talked about it before, IVF kind of makes us gods of human life and creation of human life.
We get to be in charge. We get to be in control of everything.
Again, if we go back to Genesis, in chapter 1, God creates from nothing. He creates the world. He separates light from darkness. He separates the sea from the land, and then he creates man. So God is the creator. But in this kind of beautiful way that God involves us in life, he allows us to participate in that creation. Literally from nothing, from a sperm and an egg, God allows us to participate in his creation of human beings. With infertility and with fertility treatments, the church always says that the fertility treatments that support life and that support the conjugal and the sexual act are good and should be used if they are necessary. So IVF separates them. IVF completely separates life from that act. And the Catholic position is that those can't be separated, but what we can do is we can assist in that. So, for example, I know many people struggle with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So there's cysts on the ovaries, and it makes it very difficult to conceive. The church says that treatments for that are necessary, right? So if it's surgery to remove some of that, or if it's some treatment, maybe there's some hormonal imbalance, all of that can be done so that in the act, you have the best chance of producing human life because it's supporting that. It's not taking that act out. A big technology right now that you hear about is called NAPRO technology. which is natural procreative technology. So it involves a lot of different things. It's more of a holistic understanding of either the woman or the man, whoever is struggling with the issue. NAPRO says, well, what are the root causes of the problem? If you're having trouble getting pregnant, let's not just take the act away and let's do it in a petri dish. It's well, why are you having a problem? Is it endometriosis? Is it low testosterone for the man, so the sperm aren't fully developed? And then we can talk about treatments that can help you have the best chance, not only of being healthy in general, but of assisting in procreation. And the church is all for it. And the church even supports that. Again, there's Catholic bioethical centers all over the U.S. That work on this NAPRO technology. I know many couples who have had major success doing this type of stuff. And again, just one final word too. If you haven't gotten the gist from this whole episode, that the church supports families and couples that cannot get pregnant. Either they are completely infertile or they're having trouble getting pregnant. This is not to throw your suffering to the side. The church is with you in your suffering. And I think it's really, really important to know too that we all have crosses. We all have sufferings. Some of them are more noticeable. Some of them are more interior. Some of them are worse than others. But we all struggle. And if that is your cross, we're praying for you. We are with you. The church is with you. But just remember that Jesus Christ died on the cross for all of our suffering. So look to the cross in your suffering. Don't look for the easy way out. IVF is not the way out. IVF is something that we should avoid, and we should carry our cross with Christ. Again, not just ignoring the problem. We can do things to help in that situation, but ultimately realize that human life is not something that we just will into existence. Human life is a gift that we participate with God, and it is an honor to be able to do that. And so we want to value that life, and we want to do everything we can to maintain that sacredness and maintain the sacredness of marriage. And we don't want to violate that. So just know that we're with you. And again, if you have any concerns or comments, please comment below, and I'll try to respond. But know that we love you. This has nothing that we're not putting anybody down. The church is certainly not doing that. The church is trying to help us understand that human life is valuable and marriage is sacred, and we need to maintain that at all costs. Thank you for joining us, and we very much look forward to coming to you in the next episode.